let's focus up on the forecast here and talk about some of these games. So we'll start off here and just quickly talk about our weather impact table. And look at the first game highlight here. This is the Cardinals at Chicago Bears game. And you can see there's a caution flag here based off of weather. If you look at the actual forecast, now our forecast is powered by the National Weather Service. We are pulling from their API. National Weather Service is predicting temperatures to generally be in the 40s. Winds, though, are going to be pretty moderate, right? We're looking at 17 mile per hour winds sustained. And then with some precipitation, they're predicting about 800ths of an inch of rain here. And you can see how the orange box is highlighted around our game, and we're worried about rain, some precipitation, and some wind at this game. This is potentially the return of Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. We'll get to that, but there's some. Yeah. I know that a lot of folks like me who have these guys in lineups are really interested in these games. And then we'll focus finally after we talk about this first game here, the New England Patriots and Buffalo Bills. And this looks like more of a significant impact game here. 32 temperatures in the lower 30s, so right around freezing. I don't know if you've played football in cold weather, but it's tough on your body when you're in that cold of weather. And the big thing here is winds. Winds are going to be sustained of 26 mile per hour winds with cold air, and there's a potential for lake effect snow here. So we'll talk about that as we move forward, and we'll let Sean break down what's going on synoptically. If I head over to our weather maps, and talk about the actual weekend, the progression of the pattern here. Sean, let's take it over to you.
Yeah, so we have this area of low pressure developing over the northern plains. This actually, as we move into Sunday here, is actually not an overly, at least initially, not an overly strong system, but it will intensify. And one of the things to look at here, as Mike is showing our mean sea level pressure map with precipitation, is we have that bulk of precipitation over the upper Great Lakes, and it starts to extend down up into down into the Chicago region. And the other thing to look at here is those black swirly lines. Those are called isobars, and the closer those are together, the more windy the surface conditions are going to be. And those winds flow mostly parallel to those isobars. So we could see that we're going to have some south-southwesterly winds for the Chicago area. As Mike mentioned, we're expecting winds in the 15-20 mile an hour range. I'm looking at the National Weather Service, and they're also predicting periods of gusts, maybe even over 30 miles an hour for that Chicago game. And the other thing there is precipitation. So the precipitation, which we kind of get a general idea of on this map, but it's going to be a little bit more isolated. There are these pockets of precipitation, and some of those pockets are going to be a little bit heavier. But what I envision for this game is we may have kind of an off and on rain event where it may rain for a quarter, and then maybe a quarter we're okay, and then maybe toward the end of the game we may get a little bit of rain. But when we do get these pockets, there is potential to get some heavy rain for at least a short period of time. And so the conditions could get messy here in the second half. We don't expect this to be like we saw the Colts and 49ers game where this is torrential downpours for the entire game, but the National Weather Service is saying that we can expect some precipitation for this 3-hour window for this game.
Okay, and as this storm rolls further east as we move into Monday night now,
yeah,
and we head off to our Monday night event, you can see how the storm really gets its act together. I mean, it just rapidly, it looks like it's bombing out almost out over eastern Canada, and a nice, really nice cold front here. Maybe some isolated severe thunderstorms down in the south, but we care about as this thing moves out across the northeast, because then we have obviously our Monday night game, and that's the Buffalo Bills Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. And so just like Mike mentioned, notice those lines, those black lines around the storm, those are getting incredibly tight. And that's going to be one of the main concerns here for the Buffalo game. And just the orientation of how the wind is going to be blowing, it's going to be blowing off of Lake Erie. So Mike has his surface wind map up, and if you look over Buffalo, Mike, I don't know if you could count, just kind of give our viewers an idea of where that Buffalo region is. We can see, yeah, exactly. So our winds are going to be picking up in that area off Erie. So that means a few things. One is obviously we're going to be experiencing some pretty significantly windy conditions. We are very confident that this game will probably have winds at least in the 20-25, maybe up to 30 plus, gusts maybe 35 plus for this game. And the other thing that means is typically during wintertime, or as we progress into winter, if we have winds off the lakes, what that does is it creates a lot of lake effect snow. So Buffalo is known, the Buffalo Rochester area, those areas are known for getting a lot of lake effect snow, and that could be something that we're at least forecasting for a period of the game, maybe seeing some snowflakes, and it's not going to take much, even just a little bit of a coating to get the ball wet there, and that can even have a more drastic impact with low temperatures that front passes through, and the winds that'll be pretty incredibly elevated as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of the winter pictures out of Buffalo when you get lake effect snow, it's incredible. And these lake effect snow events are very we call these mesoscale events in the weather community, because they're very small strips of intense snowfall, and it's really difficult for our weather models to really resolve exactly where it's going to go. They give a good general idea, but sometimes they can be shifted 10, 20 miles north or south of the predicted area, and that could really cause some significant changes in your localized forecast. So that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to as Monday comes along to understand where exactly that band's going to set up.
Yep.
But at least as Sean mentioned, this is a synoptic pattern that is conducive for some lake effect snow in the Buffalo region for Monday Night Football. So that's something that we're paying attention to. But the main concern, as we're also looking at, is the strong winds. So